Hi friends, today I am going to review the book, Practical Project Management, Tips, Tactics, and Tools by Harvey A. Levine. Project Management Basics. There are no shortcuts in project management. In order to succeed, a project manager must integrate skills from many different disciplines, including scoping out and defining a project, planning and scheduling tasks, evaluating and allocating resources and personnel, and managing a workforce. For the most part, the failures in implementing project management can be traced back to this simple misconception that we can take shortcuts with project management, that we can treat it casually and unprofessionally and still have it work. That list doesn't even begin to address the demands posed by budgeting and cost control, risk management and contingency planning. And don't forget the need to resist project scope creep, communicate sensitively with stakeholders, and master increasingly complex project management software. The best project managers also deftly adapt to changing circumstances and aggressively push the project to a close. If you can't define the work, you can't schedule it, you can't assign and evaluate resources, and you can't define a valid project budget. If you're going to succeed at this task, you're obviously going to need help. This assistance will come from two sources: a sound organizational framework and the abilities of the other personnel assigned to the project. These elements are interconnected. The capacity of the personnel to develop and apply their skills to your project is largely contingent on the project management practices that you apply and the organizational operation that you construct. Establish interim milestones and trigger points. The latter are key events that occur, with adequate lead time, when there is still a window of opportunity to take corrective action or to adopt alternative strategies, when things are not going as planned. Before you start trying to organize a project, it might help to define exactly what a project is. A project is a group of tasks performed during a certain time period to meet a specific set of objectives. Generally, it will be a one-time program with its own life cycle from start to completion. The discrete nature of a project's individual tasks allows a manager to break down the overall work scope into its component parts. Project management is a many-faceted discipline. It will usually involve project scoping, task planning and scheduling, resource planning and workforce management, and project closeout. In order to properly manage time, resources, and costs, you must start by precisely and completely defining the work entailed in the project as a whole and how this work breaks down into component tasks. This technique is known formally as the Work Breakdown Structure, or WBS, to which managers should also apply traditional strategic planning techniques. Both of these approaches come together in most project management software, which increase efficiency and standardize both work and output in terms of schedules, resources, and costs. Planning and control. When first approaching a new project, it's best to focus initially on work scope, time, resources, and costs. These elements make up the basic planning and control functions, which you will need to address. The planning phase. In your initial planning, you establish project objectives, define the work, determine the work timing, establish the resources that are required and available, and establish the cost baseline. Now is the time to break down the project into smaller steps using the work breakdown structure to define work packages and tasks. Once the tasks are identified, use critical path method, CPM, software to calculate a tentative schedule based on your estimate of task sequence and duration. There are basic requirements, including those for 1. Organizing for project management, 2. Management support, and 3. Documenting and communication. Using your tentative schedule, go back through your task list and assign available resources to each. A resource aggregation histogram can be helpful in evaluating the supply and demand of resources at any given time during the project. Based on this analysis, revise your initial timeline into a resource-adjusted schedule. The most important step toward project management maturity is to set up a project management operation that can best develop and utilize skilled personnel and direct their efforts via a set of project management practices, supported and directed by an enlightened senior management. Pause from your scheduling now and review your resources. Establish cost rates for all required resources to form a task budget. Apply this cost baseline to your resource-adjusted schedule to derive a time-phased budget, usually called a cash flow plan or project expenditure plan. Setting the baseline. After your initial planning, you'll need to carefully review all of your work on your baseline schedule, resource loading plan, and budget to identify any potential problems. One of the most common slip-ups is failing to spot uneven resource demands, which can create bottlenecks and even derail a project completely if not caught early on. Use your critical path software to pinpoint any hazard points that could cause delays. If resource shortages are to blame, consider outsourcing or resource substitution as means of avoiding snarls. Once you're satisfied that you've ironed out any wrinkles, freeze your work into a baseline plan against which you will measure progress and costs as you implement the project. The tracking phase. From a project management perspective, implementation is all about tracking work scope, scheduling, resources, and costs. Track work progress by noting the actual dates when a task is started and completed. For tasks in progress, note what percentage of the work has been completed to date and carefully note any adjustments to the expected completion date. Such project tracking will allow you to perform a periodic earned value analysis. Assign a cost rate to each resource, so we can let the computer generate a resource-driven cost estimate for each task. To determine the earned value, you multiply the percentage of completed work by the budget. This is the budgeted cost of work performed, BCWP, which is compared to the planned effort. The budgeted cost of work scheduled, BCWS. The results make up your schedule variance, SV, which serves as an indicator of your progress in terms of time. Now, compare the actual expenditures, ACWP, to the earned value, BCWP, to determine the cost variance, CV. A pure functional organization is a poor model for the execution of projects. Always compare your current data with your baseline plan to chart your progress. As part of your baseline, you should set interim milestones and trigger points. Use tables and graphic presentations to illustrate your progress against these markers and use the results of your analysis to forecast future performance and to recommend corrective action if needed. Be disciplined in your reactions to any lag in performance. Don't address problems on a one-off basis. Whenever changes occur, define the tasks that will be added, revised, or deleted and incorporate them into your overall plan to account for time, resources, and costs. Remain vigilant in your guard against scope creep, or the tendency of projects to expand beyond their original work scope. Project management organization. Project managers have developed 4 main approaches to organizing the endless variety of projects that fall into their charge. The functional organization. This represents the traditional management approach, with its emphasis on operational discipline. This approach is best for routine work and maintaining consistent standards. In general, projects are assigned to a single functional manager with expertise in the field most relevant to the overall project. Some companies prefer to shift project responsibility from one functional manager to another as work progresses and needs change. This approach often fails due to its shortcomings in terms of accountability, recognition, and rewards for project performance. The project organization. This approach involves setting up a special organization with the sole task of executing the project. When the project ends, so does the organization. This approach suffers from its inefficient use of resources and its negative effect on institutional memory, since there is no continuity of personnel from project to project. The matrix organization. Under this system, individuals report to at least 2 managers, their functional manager and their project manager. The confusion and conflict that arises from these multiple roles can be overcome with good leadership. This matrix is the most practical approach for companies involved in multiple and overlapping projects. Functional specialists are assigned by functional managers to 1 or more projects based on the needs of the project managers. This approach duplicates the benefits of project organization while preserving institutional knowledge. The teams organization. This gained popularity in the 1990s, employs task forces or cross-functional teams derived of specialists that are assigned to projects on a full or part-time basis. The project manager is chosen by a senior manager or by the teams themselves. Companies such as General Electric have found that the teams approach can increase productivity, reduce costs, boost creativity, encourage strategic initiatives, and improve project performance. Leadership and methodology. The most sophisticated companies in terms of project management set up central project offices, or CPOs. The CPO provides centralized project leadership, skilled project managers, and other resources and technology. The CPO acts as a repository of project experience, models, and standards that can be shared with project leaders. It also coordinates projects across the organization, assisting in resource management and allocation and keeping a strategic eye on how various projects relate to others occurring simultaneously in the company. The project organization is a specialized organization for executing projects. The project organization makes a less efficient use of resources. It is a poor model for technology transfer. Regardless of whether or not your company has a CPO, you must purchase, install, and master a computer-based project management capability. If you don't employ a CPO, you must find someone else inside or outside of your organization with the expertise to specify, evaluate, and select appropriate project management software. The Matrix organization, which gained popularity in the 1970s, offers the best of both worlds solutions. As a first step, document in written form the organization's entire project management process. This process identifies the capabilities that you require of the software. When evaluating packages, consider the user interface, data management, scheduling engine, and multi-user access and communication. A comprehensive implementation plan should include the following 4 elements. A directive from senior management, which provides support for the project management process in your organization. A set of procedures, in which you define the implementation process. An implementation plan, which shows the steps that will be followed, and a schedule. Don't try to implement company-wide immediately. It's better to select and implement pilot projects to help everyone get up to speed and improve the processes as necessary. A kickoff program, in which you make a big deal out of the implementation to get everyone on board and prepare them for change. Project management in action. When launching a project, begin by addressing project objectives, constraints, and the concerns and needs of stakeholders. Select the team, which will help develop the plan for achieving project objectives and the framework to define work scope, timing, and budgeting. This team also will develop the work breakdown structures, WBS, the various measures of cost accounting, and project milestone schedules. These early planning features provide the critical foundation of a successful project. Communicate with the various stakeholders throughout the course of the project. Use risk management and contingency planning techniques to identify potential problems. Create optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely time and cost estimates. Be prepared to adjust the scope of the project if necessary. If you find yourself in charge of multiple projects, take a crash course in project portfolio management to learn to appropriately prioritize and distribute resources and personnel among projects. Once again, when it comes to project management, there are no shortcuts. The only path to success lies in careful planning, organization, and in your ability to harness the skills and knowledge of your project personnel. Takeaways. There are no shortcuts in project management. Successful project managers master skills from a variety of interrelated disciplines. A sound organizational framework integrates the abilities of project personnel. Begin a project by creating a baseline plan against which you can measure progress. Match available resources with the tasks required at each step of the project. Incorporate the costs of resources into your schedule to create a cash flow plan. Track work progress by noting the actual dates when tasks are started and completed. For tasks in progress, note the percentage of work done and changes to the completion date. Under Matrix organization, employees simultaneously report to functional managers, who assign them to projects, and project managers. Communicate with various stakeholders on an ongoing basis and be prepared to adjust the scope of the project if necessary. If you enjoy our content and would like to stay updated with our latest videos, please like, share, and consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you so much for watching.